My name is Aaron, and I'm a Brighton-based strength and conditioning coach. Today, I just wanted to talk a little bit about strength and conditioning for, in particular, middle and long distance running. So, apologies there, skipped over a little bit, more new to this. Um, so, looking at the outcomes I want to get from today, by the end of this presentation, I'm just really hoping that I'll have given you a better understanding of the key physiological demands of endurance running, so like which muscles, systems, and movements are the most important, the specific adaptations that we get from strength and conditioning, and how they benefit endurance performance, and then finally, how to design and coach a practical session and programs that fit alongside your current running sessions. So, before we jump into programming or exercise selection, it's really important to understand the demands that are placed on middle and long distance runners. So essentially, this is what the body needs in order to be good at it, in order to perform well. Hope that makes sense. So each distance places a different demand on the body's energy systems and obviously physical qualities. So you can see there, I've got like a very short list of different distances that you can go through. When you look at, for example, 800 meters to 1500-meter runners, we're looking at a hybrid demand. So they need both aerobic endurance and anaerobic power. So the aerobic system fuels most of the race, but that final kick, acceleration, and the ability just to buffer lactate rely on anaerobic capacity and power. We're not trying to make the race more aerobic. We're training strength and power so that the athlete can produce and tolerate more force each stride, so that obviously then delays the fatigue. For 5k and 10k runners, you can see the balance shifts towards more aerobic dominance. The limiter here isn't like top end speed, but more so running economy, so how efficiently an athlete can maintain pace. Strength work here in particular helps with like posture, force application, and again, just delaying that fatigue. And then I've included marathon runners. So for marathon runners, it's almost entirely aerobic. The focus here would becomes mainly efficiency, fatigue resistance, and tissue resilience. So the stronger, more efficient the athlete's movement pattern is, the less energy is wasted over time. And I've stuck in some of the sources from some of the studies that I've been looking into for this kind of evidence. Interestingly, across all these distances, we see like common issues with knee pain, IT band irritation, Achilles tendinopathy, which often comes from poor load management, like weak glutes or instability of the hip or the ankle. So the big question, why does strength training matter? So traditionally, endurance athletes avoid heavy strength training, usually because the fear is that it would make them slower, heavier, but the research does show otherwise. So with this slide in particular, I've got a few studies here. So there was a study by Storen et al. 2008. They found like heavy resistance training actually improves running economy by between 4 to 8%. And then there's another study by BT et al. 2014, which showed us that it doesn't actually even negatively affect our VO2 max. Um, if anyone's not sure, running economy is just it's a measure of how efficiently your body uses oxygen to run at any given speed, with lower oxygen consumption indicating better economy. It's like similar to like a car, like it's fuel efficiency. I don't drive, but it's like where a more economical car uses less fuel to travel the same distance. Strength training has also been shown to make your tendons stiffer and the muscle's more efficient at producing force, so you use less energy each stride. I think one of the big ones from this one you can see at the top is from an injury prevention perspective. So strength and conditioning can actually reduce injury risk by up to 50%. And that was a study done in 2014. Now that we know what the body demands, the next step is to perform a needs analysis. Basically, a structured way of identifying what qualities each athlete already has, what they're missing, and what might be holding them back. So, like a good needs analysis always includes looking at individual injury history, how they move for different patterns, sometimes looking at asymmetries between the left and right sides. The goal is to identify basically what's limiting performance or what's increasing the risk of injury. Then we design the strength and conditioning sessions and programs that specifically target those gaps. So when designing programs, you need to think functionally. So like for a middle or long distance runner, the main physical qualities we look for are max strength, so their ability to produce force. You're looking at reactive power, so how quickly they can apply that force. When we're looking at mobility and range of motion, especially around the ankles and hips. Endurance, so not just cardiovascular, but muscular endurance under fatigue. And then also stability and balance, which obviously affects running form and efficiency. Ultimately, we're targeting efficiency and durability rather than trying to build size in the gym. So the key exercise categories section, these are what I call the 4 pillars of strength and conditioning for runners. It's the foundation of pretty much nearly every program that I build. First, you've got your posterior chain pillar. So this is like the powerhouse. This includes the glutes, hamstrings, the lower back. These are the muscles that drive your hip extension. So like the key motion that propels you forward when you run. So strengthening these areas improves your stride efficiency, reduces your knee load, and just helps prevent hamstring and lower back injuries. Then you've got your unilateral strength. So running, quite clearly, is a single leg sport. You're never on 2 feet at once. So exercises like split squats, step ups, single leg RDLs, they all build balance, coordination, and they can fix asymmetries between sides. This directly translates to better running stability and less energy leakage with each stride that you take. Third pillar, we've got plyometrics. So these develop your power and reactivity. They train the stretch shortening cycle, so it's how quickly the muscle and tendon can absorb and produce force. So drills like hops and bounds, pogos, they all improve running economy by reducing the amount of ground contact time. And then finally, core integration. So not just sit-ups. I'm talking about like anti-rotation, anti-extension, stability work that links the upper and lower body. A strong, stable core keeps the pelvis neutral, which reduces overuse injuries and improves force transfer through the whole connect chain. When all 4 of these pillars are trained together, you build a runner who's not just fit but durable, efficient, and powerful. So coaching and safety. So when it comes to coaching and safety, there are a few principles that I would consider. Number 1, movement quality first, load second. Number 1 rule in strength and conditioning is movement quality before load. It's not about how heavy an athlete can lift, it's about how well they can move under control. So if a runner can't perform a movement with stability, control, and a full range, adding weight will just reinforce that poor pattern. So it's like building dysfunction on top of dysfunction, and you're making it stronger. Think of it like running techniques. If your form breaks down, no amount of extra mileage is going to fix it. So early sessions focus on mobility, control, get that correct mechanics. Then once the movement looks good, we layer in progressive overload just to build strength and then resilience. Number two, don't stack heavy strength sessions next to key runs. Ideally, separate them by 24 to 48 hours. This one's about just smart scheduling and recovery. Heavy lower body lifting creates muscle fatigue, central nervous system stress, which this can all like blunt performance in key runs like intervals or tempo sessions. So ideally separate them by 24 to 48 hours just to let the body recover and adapt. So just an example, Monday would be like an easy run or even a rest day, God forbid. And Tuesday would be your key run. Wednesday would be your strength session. That spacing just gives runners the best of both worlds. They can lift heavy and run hard, but without compromising either adaptation. So just remember, the goal of strength and conditioning isn't to compete with running, it's to complement it. Number three, I do apologise, that is a footballer there, not a runner. Number three is just to use your strength days to reinforce good movement, not just to fatigue your athlete. Strength training for runners isn't just about smashing them into the gym. We're not trying to make them crawl out, we're trying to make them move better. Sessions should reinforce like technical patterns like hip extension, single leg stability, postural control, not just chase like fatigue or soreness. Like, especially during that race season, the gym should enhance recovery and coordination, not take away from running quality. So if they're leaving the session feeling drained, not sharp, it's too much. Number four, always individualize. So what's challenging for one might overload another. So every athlete has a different background, recovery capacity, training load. A program that's perfect for one runner could cause overtraining or injure another. That's why we individualize. So before adding intensity, look at movement quality, running volume, injury history, even their age. The goal is to find each athlete's minimum effective dose, the least amount of strength work needed to create progress without stealing from their running performance. Number five, mobility work, especially for the hips, ankles. This all helps prevent common overuse injuries. Most running injuries, you're probably aware of, knee pain, IT band, Achilles, shin splints, they come from restrictions in the joints, like usually above or below. Tight hips and limited ankle dorsiflexion often lead to compensations further up the chain. So regular mobility work just improves range, it restores natural mechanics and helps the body absorb and transfer force more efficiently. It doesn't have to be long. It hasn't got to be like an hour-long hot yoga session. 10 minutes of targeted work before runs or strength sessions can make a massive difference in performance and injury prevention. I always say mobility is strength through range. It's not just stretching, it's controlled movement where the athlete learns to own that position. So, looking at injury prevention focus next, most running injuries come from repetitive load or tissue that just can't cope. So, there's a way you could give individuals like homework to do at home to help correct what is found in their individual movement assessments before they start their S&C program. So to address these weak links through a structured flow, I would normally do would be to foam roll. So this is going to help reduce overactivity and just restore that tissue quality. So it's like a reset. Then I'd get them stretching. This like lengthens the muscles that we've released in the foam rolling. So it's going to help to improve that range. Then I'll get them to do some sort of activation drill. So switching on underactive muscles, stabilizing like key joints like the hips and ankles. Then we would integrate that with full body movements like split squats, step ups, lunges. That's where it all comes together functionally. the goal isn't just to like loosen tight areas, it's to restore movement balance across the chain so that the athlete moves better, uh, runs more efficiently, and just stays injury free. So obviously strengthening the glutes, the hamstrings, and the calves. It's going to make runners more resilient just to impact forces and helps maintain form when they start to fatigue. So monitoring progress, tracking progress is crucial. We're not just going to look at 1RMs, which are important, but we want improvement in function. We want to see increases in range of motion, jump height, single leg hop distance, even just movement quality on video. They're all good measures. You can help prevent overtraining by tracking things like your RPE, so your rate of perceived exertion. So the volume you can track week to week, making sure that everything's moving in the right direction. There's even apps now that you can use that track the bar movement. So if you're doing any sort of Olympic lifting, you can see if there's any issues in parts of the lift. Then I'd reassess every 6 to 8 weeks just to adjust the loads and the progressions. This like objective kind of feedback helps to also boost the motivation within the athlete within those sessions. It's like a little goal. So just to summarize, just to wrap this all up, strength and conditioning shouldn't be optional for runners. It's a key piece of the performance puzzle. When integrated correctly, it improves running economy, efficiency, and resilience. You want to prioritize your heavy compound lifts, plyometrics, core mobility. Most importantly, train movements, not just muscles. So you can see I've put here, I've got my two girls, that's Isabel Pashley on the left, Ava Pashley on the right. Probably not going to be happy that they've got those pictures up of them, but it's all good. They'll look back at this one day and they'll be like, yeah, you know what? That's where it all started. So stronger runners are more efficient runners, plain and simple. I've also put little bit of reference there. So if anyone wants to look at these sorts of key studies that support this information from today, they all show that a good S&C program improves your efficiency, risk of injury gets lowered, and enhances your own performance. So thank you very much. Hopefully I haven't taken up too much of your time. If you found this useful, let me know, give me some feedback. You can see there's like loads of different ways to reach out to me. And yeah, hope to hear from you soon.